Hi, I'm Nan Simonson. I'm going to bring you a recipe today that comes with a cool story. I had my son in 1977. I lived in a place called Canoga Park in California, a place, part of the Los Angeles city limits. And I had a friend, Rika, and we raised our babies together until I moved away when he was in the third grade. Well, I hadn't seen Rika forever. Our lives took different directions. Our husbands had moved or had worked together at the city of LA as superintendents, and her husband continued to do that until he retired. And mine and me, we opened a Tupperware franchise, and I understand Tupperware's having problems now, but we did that for well over 20 years and very successfully, so yay Tupperware. What does this have to do with this recipe? Well, as a lifestyle medical coach, having written a book, Aging Powerfully, about the power of lifestyle medicine, and how at 72 I feel like I'm aging backwards. I have social media presence in Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And Rika's sister found me because she is with Kaiser at Permanente, and they are promoting a whole food, plant-based diet for remediation of a number of health challenges. It could be diabetes, it could be cardiovascular disease, it could be weight control. And she found my channel. Yay, Inga. I was so thrilled when I was doing one of my group call sessions on a Thursday that Inga was there. And I'm just so happy about it. Well, she has continued to come to classes. I'm going to give a shout out to to Inga's family, because this Saturday her 40-year-old daughter is getting married for the first time. So anyway, isn't that what life is? Community, friends, connections. So this is her recipe, because last Thursday she prepared it while we were doing class, but I had already planned a different agenda, not knowing she was going to. So she didn't get to demonstrate it to us all, but I got her recipe, which is something that she got, a long time ago from Martha Stewart's channel. So I'm calling it Inga's Zucchini and Black Bean Tacos, and I want to show you what we do. First of all, the recipe she got calls for a 1/4 cup of oil. I don't use processed oils. Whole food, plant-based. Give me an olive. I don't need the olive oil. Give me sunflower seeds. I don't need their oils. In other words, I don't want the processed oils because of what it does to the oil, what it takes to extract it. Pressed virgin, first pressed olive oil is different, but at 120 calories, what did I do? I just sprayed a 1/2 teaspoon of oil into this pan, which I'm now, hold on. Sorry, I tore it and then I walked away, which I'm now going to spread out and basically reabsorb. Why did I do that? Just to prevent some extra or unwanted sticking. I have 2 zucchini here that were sliced that I want to brown. These tacos are not what you would expect. You hear zucchini tacos. And Martha Stewart's recipe simply says zucchini tacos, and yet a big part of this recipe includes savory black beans and a preparation of the taco shell that is, I'll say, different for me, because I typically heat the tortillas for tacos by putting them between 2 saucers in the microwave, 5 tortillas, about 30 seconds, and they're nice and moist and soft. I haven't done what I'm going to be showing you, what if you are Hispanic, you already know maybe, because it's traditional to heat tortillas over a brazier. I was a landscape designer for 20 years. I designed, and then crews would come in. A lot of the crew members were Hispanic. At lunchtime, they would get out their containers of food, have their brazier lit up with propane or whatever it was, and put the tortillas down on a grill or on an open fire. Well, today you're going to see that same thing. And I thought, oh, that's not going to work. It's going to burn up. It's going to this. It's going to that. You know what? It was terrific. I thought it was going to dry it out and make it too firm to bend over as a taco. Not so at all. So I'm going to turn the video off. When I finish, what you're going to see is that these zucchini on both sides, so far it's browning. It takes about 8 minutes. I'm not going to use up your time that way. I'm letting them brown. I didn't need 2 tablespoons of oil for this. And then when you see me cook these onions with the seasonings and then the black beans, another 2 tablespoons of oil for that. My husband and I will eat this entire recipe for 4 people. We will eat it together for 2 of us. In other words, I'm saving us at 120 calories a tablespoon, 480 calories of extracted processed oils. Not only do I not want the calories, I eat massive amounts of whole foods that are plant-based. I don't count calories, I don't think about it, and I'm as trim as I want to be. If I started eating oils, that would not be the case because they don't fill us up. We don't know they're there. You can not even taste the difference. And we struggle with weight, wondering why. So I'm going to let you go for a minute. I'll get back to you. You'll see when these are turned over, ready to be pulled off, or already pulled off, except for a few of them. And then I'll show you what I'm doing with the onion, and then I'll come right back to you again and show you the finished dish when my husband gets home from work and we're just about high. So here they are. You're going to see, based on the presentation, that this adds to not only the look of it, but also the browning adds a lot of flavor to them. Could you grill them? Sure. But with these little circles, that might be more of a challenge. You could grill them in strips. Inga, and who has used this recipe for years and years, and her family loves it. Her non-plant-based family still loves this. Has simplified it by just cutting the zucchini into small chunks so that they fit more conveniently on the taco shell. And you'll see what I mean by that. This is for a pretty presentation. I may do this again, or I may just chunk it up. I want to keep this warm and kind of steam it a little. So I'm covering it up. I'll leave it back here where it's warm. The pan is still hot. I'm not even going to spray it again with oil because there's no need to when you're sauteing onions. Don't put a bunch of oil. There's no need. Just put it in a hot pan. Can you hear that? Now this was 1 medium onion finely chopped. You may see something that doesn't look at all. I can lift this without burning myself. I don't know if you can see that. That doesn't look at all like a white onion, does it? Well, the onion I chopped was smaller than a medium. And it was a white onion. I usually use a Hawaiian Maui onion. And it wasn't a cup. And I wanted a cup because I like, or more, I like a lot of onion in what I make. So I had some red onion that I always keep in a little silicone, I'll call it baggie, the kind that you can seal easily. I don't need it sealed, but I have them stripped of their skin, halved and ready to go. Why? My husband every day for lunch has a open-faced avocado sandwich pear. In other words, the sandwich opened up. And the sandwich has smashed avocado, tomato, red onion, that's where this is coming in, and I pull it out of that Ziploc, slice what I'm going to need, put it back, and it's ready to go. And I can put chopped onion on anything. We love chopped onion on chili and things. We like the red onion the best. Now, do you see what's happening? It's browning, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to add, and watch what happens, a little bit of vegetable broth. I always have vegetable broth on hand because I keep scraps of things like the tops, either end of the zucchini, the carrots I bought pounds of that I'm going to be peeling because I want to make a carrot salad. I could use water or I could use broth. I like to use broth, which actually evaporates more quickly than water. But do you see what's happening? This is called deglazing. The French do it with everything. You brown something lightly. I'm going to turn it down now. Brown something lightly, and then pour in a broth, stock, water, wine, and it, with the juices from the food, and onion has a lot of juice, it caramelizes. Now I'm adding to this now, not before, a couple of minced garlic cloves. And I'm not adding it too much before because I don't mind if it gets warm and even a little bit slightly browned, but I don't want it to toast brown. I'm going to do this again. I usually do it 3 times, and then I get this beautiful color. There is no oil bath that would give me a better saute than this. No need for it. And these onions now are nothing calorically, and again, I don't count calories, but I'm aware of how ridiculous it is to waste calories on something that you don't taste, you don't need, your body doesn't need it. I'm not saying don't eat fat, you'll see what I mean later. I'm just saying don't drink it. Okay, now I'm adding to this some cumin. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to add this to the zucchini. What do you think? Well, it's too late. And the recipe is going to say sprinkle it over the zucchini, but actually, I think I'll get a better coverage, meaning I'll get it more evenly distributed if I spread it over and around and into the bean mixture. And we'll still have that same flavor. So I think I'm okay with that. I may even modify the recipe that way. And boy, I hope you do what I just did. And that is when you cook, modify for you. Your tastes, your sensibility. Okay, there's no right or wrong unless something comes out terrible and you can't eat it. All right, I'm also adding 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Now, why is my tomato paste in a cube? Here's the story. I don't just do a demonstration and move on. In other words, I don't just throw things together. I like to teach. That's what I do. Maybe that's my Tupperware background. We show a product, and then we actually did a lot of cooking at parties to show people how to use that product. And it made a lot of sense at the time, and it still does to me. All right. I need a 1/2 cup of either water, and you can use water when you're deglazing. So I'm going to go get that in a minute, and I've used it up. You saw I've evaporated it all by using it to deglaze. What about the tomato paste? Let me get this in here and then I'll explain. This is 1 can of black beans, drained and rinsed and drained. Inga uses the can without draining it, which is just fine. Some of you who are not used to carbohydrates, what I mean, I shouldn't use the word carbohydrate because there's a fear countrywide, nationwide, internationally of carbohydrates. That's ridiculous. On a whole food plant-based diet, I eat 80% of my calories in the form of carbohydrates. I get probably 10-15% protein of my calories, and then another 10 to 15% from fats, but a massive amount of carbohydrates. Are they fattening? You tell me. No, not unless they are refined, junky, processed with oil, salt, sugar, and unpronounceables. I was going to say unimaginables. All right, I'm mashing these beans a little bit. I'm heating them through. They're now highly flavored because what I added was not only cumin, but a little bit of my own thing. And that is, I happen to have an organic, it's Frontier Co-op. It's actually not organic, it's no GMO. But Frontier Co-op, I like their spices. And this is a Mexican fiesta seasoning with chilies, tomatoes, and more cumin. Non-GMO, gluten-free, and all of that. Okay, so I have, and I'm going to stop now. I have, until I put it all together, I have a beautiful, savory bean dish with the tomato paste, some broth. I'm going to put a little bit of broth in here and cook it a tiny bit more, onion, and then seasonings and garlic. Why was I specific and why did I want to show you this? With a recipe like this, you would have the right to say, wait a minute, you want me to use a tablespoon of tomato paste? Then what? It's true. What do you do with the rest of tomato paste, the rest of the can? 2 tablespoons, and there are 6 in this can, one serving is 2 tablespoons. There are 6 servings, which means 12 tablespoons. What is 12 tablespoons? 3/4 of a cup. What do you do with the rest of it after you used 1 tablespoon? This is what I want to recommend, and this is why it was square. I could have put this in here easily, but I didn't want that much of a dense tomato flavor. I am great with exactly what we have. Ouch. That is really good. That's going to be a great taco with our beautiful zucchini. Okay, open up the can. This is by Tevelo, Tevelo, silicone. You can find silicone things a lot now because they are not reactive to food. You can heat them up. They are easy for to get the food out of, and it doesn't have the BPA that other plastics do, the polycarbonate type plastics. Okay, I didn't open this can for that. I got that right out of the freezer because in a baggie, I have a whole bunch of cubes from a can of tomato paste that I've used in the past. Open it up, smear them in here. Each of these are 2 tablespoons. Isn't that handy? And so I would get, if I simply open this can to do this, I would end up with these 6 completely full. I would freeze them. Of course, half of it can be empty. Loosen them, put them in a baggie and these nice squares and put them away. A recipe calls for 4 tablespoons. That's 2 cubes because 4 tablespoons is a 1/4 of a cup. Trying to make a point. 1/4 of a cup is 4 tablespoons, 2 cubes. Half a cup is 8 tablespoons. In other words, based on what a recipe calls for, you have it, and in a handy form. Defrost them quickly in the microwave or just leave them out. I left this one out and they're ready to go. I'll be back to you. And this last part will just take a minute. All right, we're pulling Inga's zucchini black bean tacos together now. The step I told you I was going to show you that is so traditional has everything to do with this open fire. This is the height of it. If it's too hot, they burn up on the edges. If it's too low, it takes too long. I'm using a organic tortilla that I like. It's gluten-free. Not all tortillas are gluten-free. If they are made in a factory that, even though corn by nature is gluten-free, but if tortillas are made in a factory that has flour tortillas prepared there as well as corn tortillas, chances are they're done on the same machine and we end up with gluten in it. So these are gluten-free, organic. Mi Rancho is the brand, but you see this little thing right here, Thin Credibles? Oh, I love them. They are much thinner, well, about half as thin as a traditional tortilla. How do I know that? They are 35 calories. A traditional tortilla is 70. I said I don't count calories, but I'm quite aware of nutritional or caloric density, and I'd rather eat more of a thing that is not calorically dense but full of nutrition and allows me to eat until I'm nice and full. I'm a volume eater. I can out eat some men. I can eat. My husband and I pretty much, well, I was going to say eat the same amount. That's not quite true. So let me show you what I just did. I threw this tortilla, I actually literally did, on my stovetop. If I didn't have a flame, I could do it on a cast iron griddle. Well, cast iron wouldn't work if you have an induction, but if you have an electric, yeah, that would work. You could use the kind with the grill marks if you wanted to do that, or you would just do it any way you want. But I'll tell you something. This gave the flavor of these tortillas an authenticity that just warming in the microwave wouldn't give. And do you see what's happening? They're toasting. They're lightly toasting. And as I'm watching this, they're shrinking up a little, puffing a little bit. Their little bubbles here, air bubbles, are forming. And so you'll see what I mean if you do this. They morph. You just kind of watch them and they morph. I have an entire plate of these that I've prepared, and they're still warm. I'm keeping them between two, I'll call them dessert dishes, whatever they are. I'll do my last one, and then I'm going to take you to the assembly line, and you'll watch me finish this up. My husband just got home. He just is changing out of his suit. He's getting casual. I made him in a mocktail. Don't I sound like a Stepford wife? I'm really not. What's a mocktail? I'm going to show you. It's a way of celebrating the day with no alcohol. We're not drinking alcohol, but we're drinking something that is satisfying, filling, even though it's nothing but sparkly water. But you'll see what I mean. I say nothing but you'll see what I mean. Okay. So I've gotten that toasty, it's done its little puff thing, it's done its little shrink thing. This fire is probably a little too high. And there, a traditional treatment for corn tortillas. I'm going to move these over. Well, no, I will just move the whole assembly in a second. All right, I'm pulling it all together. What is my mocktail? It is Spindrift. This one has no sugar, but it has some mango juice in it. 12 calories from the mango juice, not sugar. Sparkly water. I wouldn't recommend going nuts with anything in an aluminum can, but we do this once in a while, and it's kind of fun. Over a bunch of ice, and then this secret ingredient that I learned from Chef Ager, and she said there is an Italian drink, an Italian soda made in Italy like this. This is a Grand Reserve balsamic vinegar from Napa Valley Naturals, but there are there's California balsamic that does this. They make the 4% balsamic vinegar, which means that 4% acidity, which means that it's a balsamic vinegar that has additional must in it, the fruit essence, the grape essence that thickens it and therefore thins out its acidity. They are thicker, and you'll see what I mean. And I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks like a lot of vinegar. By the way, some people say, even Dr. Greger, that vinegar with every meal helps you digest the fat better and it's actually good for your metabolism. Isn't that interesting? The acetic acid. But whether or not that's so, that's not why I'm doing this. If my husband were here, and if he's still changing, I brought him his, we would toast. You know what? Traditions and simple little things are fun. That is so good. Isn't that odd? Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I have, I'll just put them up here and you won't be able to see them that well. But I have the tortillas. This will be his plate. 2 of the toasted tortillas. I'm putting a line of black beans. And this was made for 4 people. As I said, the 2 of us can easily eat it. And the way we eat is half of the plate is a legume and then a grain, like rice and beans. The other half is vegetables. I want a lot of vegetables in my life, at least a half a plate, if not more. So we even have a plate of steamed broccoli and cauliflower on the table waiting for us. So that's how much we're going to eat. We are going to then dress them with the zucchini. And this is what made it look so pretty. My hands are washed. Based on the way Martha Stewart did it. She recommended, that's the original creator, and then Inga's making it her own and I'm making it my own. She also then suggested goat cheese. Well, we don't do cheese here. I don't do dairy. I don't do the hormones from cows and the saturated fat, but I have a lot of other things here. So I'm going to put a salsa, a red salsa down the middle. And I'm not afraid of the fat. I just don't want it to be saturated. So I'm going to put avocado, guacamole on top. And then I'm going to put a line of vegan sour cream. Come on off, there we go. Look for this on my channel and on my website, vegan sour cream. It's delicious. It's simply silken tofu, lemon, garlic, and onion granules. I'm going to add some pickled jalapeno. And a sprig on each of these of cilantro. And at the table, before we fold it over, we have some shredded cabbage and carrot and kale, all shredded up, that we will put in to make this a big fat taco. But look at that. Isn't that a beauty? Well, oh, and you have to add a wedge of lime. And then, so we have this, we have broccoli and cauliflower. I made us a beautiful fruit plate. This is what whole food plant-based can be, a massive amount of nutrients that make your body sing. I've learned to love the food that loves me back. Do the same. Thank you, Inga, for sharing. Thank you, Martha Stewart, for sharing quite a while ago. And we're about to eat. Have a great day. I know I am. Bye.